एक ओंकार सतनाम करता पुरख निरभव निर्वैर अकाल मूर्त अजूनी सहभम गुरप्रसाद। धन धन गुरु ग्रंथ साहब जी महाराज, धन गुरु गोबिंद सिंह साहिब सच्चे पातशाह। भूल छिमो हमरी प्रवापन, भूलनहार कहाँ को मोसो। हवाई बंदगी आवुर दर वजूद मरा, वगर न जौके चुनी आमदैन नमूद मरा। न साजो न बाजो न फौजो न फर्श, खुदावंद बख्शन दे हुए शर। वाहेगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहेगुरु जी की फतेह। We are visiting the Bani of the Japji. Japji is a journey to our inner self. If we see life as painful and full of conflicts, then Japji gives us an understanding of the reality of life. What is the journey towards our own source, and how does it get achieved? What is the way to understand life? What is life? Amongst other questions, how do I find God? What is it I offer to meet my Creator? All these questions are addressed as we go along. We've traversed 34 Pauris. And this is the Pauris which relate to the Khands. Khands meaning the journey of the Surt, the spirit, so to say, towards its inner self, of the mind rather than the spirit of the mind. The journey of the mind. When it starts inquiring into its spirituality and it starts journeying towards its own center, from its ego, extreme ego, to the other extreme, the hukum of the Creator. These are two different paradigms of creation. One is the ego and the other is the hukum. We don't live both of these. We live either one. All of us live these to a degree, but one at a time. So some of us will be journeying mostly into our ego self and getting little glimpses of what is hukum. What is the understanding of hukum is a play between the ego and the Creator's will. And all of us drop our ego to some extent at some time or the other. You're listening to some nice music. You're dancing to some nice tune. You're walking and trekking into the hills. It often happens the mind gets dropped. Unconsciously, unknowingly. That is one of the reasons these kind of activities which we like attract us. We see so many people traversing, doing dangerous things. That all has to do with the intoxication of dropping the mind. The serotonin which builds up makes us drop our mind. The joy, the sheer joy, elevates us to a different degree. Guru Maharaj has composed the Japji in Pauris, Pauri meaning step. And we are at the 34th Pauri, the beginning of the Khands. In fact, the last Pauri, the 34th Pauri, is about Dharam Khand. So we will have to go back a little, because this first line of this Pauri addresses the last Pauri. A human being walks this earth. Sometimes joy, sometimes sorrow. takes birth, is in enjoyment or pain, and after a span of time, he leaves this earth. We leave this earth. So this is a dharamsal, Guru Sahib says. But what is the meaning of all this? Where do I come from? Where do I go? And how do I go beyond my pain? That is one of our questions when we dwell into our spirituality. The question which inspires us to move and seek is this urge to be happy in all conditions. We are trying to find solutions to our happiness. I should not feel pain. I should not be sad and sorrow. This is the conflict of the human endeavor, that we are trying to avoid our pain, but it visits us again and again. Where does happiness lie? And what is the nature of this happiness? In the last 34 Pauris, Maharaj has addressed some of these issues of creation. And we are trying to understand them. But an important aspect when journeying into the Japji is to understand that this is an experiential phenomena. This is not just mere words. It's not just discourses, listening and a subject of debate or discussion. It is a transformative experience. When we journey into our inner self, the mind finds its own center, which Guru Sahib calls the Nij Ghar, Thir Ghar. Maharaj calls it Satyara. He likes the word Sach. So he says Satyara. So how do I become Satyara? How do I go to my center? How do I go beyond this confusion? My life is full of successes and failures, joys and pains, meetings and separations, hurt and anger, frustration. All these emotions are our life. But what is the precipitate of life? When I am ready to leave here, what do I leave with from here? And where do I go? We all like to know our destiny. There's a whole astrology science in India which has become very intense. We want to know what is tomorrow. Will I be happy? Where does the destiny lie? Where do I go from here? And what controls my destiny? Do I control it? Does everything which happens gets controlled by God? Or do I have a say in it? There is a nature to creation. Maharaj calls it hukum. And there are some experiences of life which are temporary, transient, changing, which are built in duality, where pain and sorrow come together. But there is one experience of life which is absolute. It comes totally. And it consumes our entire energy and our entire system. That experience cannot be taken away from us. That is what is valuable about this spiritual journey. What we find in this spirituality, if we find it, of course that is a very big question. If we find it, then it cannot be taken away from us. We can still wax and wane between hukam and ego. These are the two paradigms we live in this world. We can wax and wane in that. But ultimately, if we have found that one experience, that jewel of life, then it can't be taken away like the Kohinoor was taken away. That is what is valuable. Because success, wealth, health, all of these are phenomena which can change. Even the most successful person, most powerful person on earth, his power can wane tomorrow. That's the nature of life by itself. It is completely in flux and change. In Baghdad, Guru Nanak Maharaj was asked 3 questions by the Peer. He was asked, what is before God? Before the Creator, before God, what was there? Where does he live and what does he do? Maharaj answered these 3 questions. The first being that before Creator there is none. Of course, it's a very nice parable to listen, because Maharaj asked for the Peer to get he told him to get something he can count, which is like the jewels or moti. And when the Peer was counting, Maharaj says, "You are counting wrong." So he was starting with 1. So Maharaj would stop him and say, "You're counting wrong." And ultimately, he told Guru Sahib, "Okay, you tell me where I am wrong, and then I'll stop there." And he said 1, and Guru Sahib stopped him. He said, "But what is before 1?" And the Peer said, "Maharaj, there is nothing before 1. There is nothing before the Creator. It is all creation." Then where does he live? Maharaj says, "Get me some milk." And he says, "In this milk there is something." And the Peer is confused. There's a discussion, and Guru Sahib ultimately tells him, "There is clarified butter, ghee in this milk." Just like that, the Creator lives in his own creation. And what does he do? Maharaj says, "You're asking these questions. You are sitting on a throne high, and I am answering them while I'm standing below you, under you." So he vacated the throne. The story says either Maharaj sat or Bhai Mardana was asked to sit. And Guru Sahib says, this is what God does. He changes things. Who is mighty today will be weak tomorrow. Who is rich today will be poor tomorrow. Who is happy today will be sorrowful tomorrow. Who is sorrowful today will be happy tomorrow. That is the nature of life. So we can fight that. And the more we fight it, the more conflicted we become, the more painful it becomes. If we ever go and live with the Adivasis, the people who live close to nature, they do not have conflicts. They have very minimal conflicts. Because they live in nature. They see that change is the paradigm of life. So even death, they will accept. Of course, there is sorrow and pain in separation and death. But that is also accepted. Let's go into the 35th Pauri. And I will go back to the 4th Pauri, because there is something I really missed in the last Pauri, and which is relevant to us all. Guru Sahib actually defined dharam in this last Pauri. And we are so interested in dharam, Hindu, Muslim, Sikh. We've separated and divided society in the name of dharam. Whereas dharam is the unifying energy of life. It makes us one, not separates us. But we don't know dharam. We don't know religion. we don't know our spirit. And we are all very happy living in conflicts. Where there is none, we create some. Let's listen to the 35th Pauri Maharaj. And then with our dhyan on Guru Nanak Sahib Hajur, let's try and figure out what these Pauris and khands, khand meaning sections, how the mind traverses from one section to another and reaches such khand. Guru says that's where the Creator resides. Maybe we can find our way to the Creator, our way to a life without conflict, mistakes, sorrows, our way to a city within ourselves, which can give us happiness forever. When Bhagat Ravadas talks about this state of being, he calls this Begumpura. Bhagat Kabir calls it Vaikunt. Guru Nanak Sahib Maharaj likes the word Sach, and he uses that all the time. And he calls this Sachkhand. Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Maharaj calls it Anandpur. Anand without sorrow. Even when the physical paradigm will give us pain and sorrow, it will not take away the Anand within us. And this pain and sorrow which we experience while living is temporary. Anand is permanent, so that much more powerful. It is the state of creation. And when we take off our shoes outside our house and enter, we leave our ego outside and enter the door of Anand. Guru Amar Das, the third Guru Nanak in Govindwal, composed the Bani of Anand. He actually spontaneously verbalized it. At the time when he met Anand, and he actually told the dhol to play while he sang. Anand paya meri maaye, Satguru mein paya. I have found my Guru, and in that I have found all the Anand I need. There is no other condition for this state of Anand. And it is a potential within us all to experience it. That is the reason Bani keeps taking us back to not losing this opportunity. A meeting with the Creator which never ends in separation. A life where there is no death. A timeless life where there is joy forever. Nanak Bhagta Sada Vigas. Sune Dukh Paap Ka Nas. In this one line, Guru Maharaj has given us the key to opening our inner door. Because these are subtle doors within our spirit, which lie shut because we are ego-centered people. And the ego is not allowed in that realm. Ego is our tool for living this physical world and experiencing life, and while experiencing it, absorbing the fact that this is all transient. This is a dharamsal, a temporary abode, and a place where I can earn my dharam. What is dharam? We will try and figure that out now. And I missed that in the last session. Dharam is a very powerful word by itself. And I don't think religion is apt translation. And something so vast needs to be understood. Even better, needs to be experienced. That is why the potential of being with the Guru, meeting the Guru, getting touched by the Guru is transformative. And Guru Gobind Singh Sahib, I feel, is right here. Never gone. Guru never goes. He doesn't take birth. Guru is our end to darkness, is our end to sorrow and pain, is our beginning of an association which never ends in separation. Guru is spirit in completeness, love in its entirety. Guru is joy, unconditionally available to us. I lived with a very powerful spiritual person, the young years of my life. And one thing which he used to often say, he said, in the Aradhana of the Sikh, the Guru lives in that. The more stable your mind, the more free, the more easy it is to feel the presence of the Guru. He used to forbid me to talk about Sahib in the evenings, at night. He said, he told me that if you talk about him, then I cry all night. That's the pain he felt, separating from the Guru. And I can say for sure that he had a very intense relationship. He has with Guru Gobind Singh Sahib. I have never found anyone who has lived the Guru. A lot of us talk about him, but I don't think many of us live the Guru. I'm journeying far away. Let's read the 31st Pauri of the Japji Sahib. Meet Gurunanak with a prayer that we have an understanding of life, understanding of ourselves, understanding of creation, and we find our Anand before we leave this physical body. Ji Maharaj.
वाहेगुरु जी का खालसा वाहेगुरु जी की फतेह। वाहेगुरु जी धर्म खंड का एहो धर्म, ज्ञान खंड का आखो कर्म, केते पवन पानी व संतर, केते कान महेश, केते बर में काढ़त कड़िय है, रूप रंग के वेश, केतियां कर्म भूमि, मेर केते केते तू उपदेश, केते इंद चंद सूर केते, केते मंडल देश, केते सिद्ध बुद्ध नाथ केते, केते देवी वेश, केते देव दानव मुन केते, केते रतन समुंद, केतियां खाणी, केतियां वाणी, केते पात नरिंद, केतियां सुरती सेवक केते नानक अंत न अंत वाहेगुरु जी।
The paradigm of the Karam Khand, Ketiya Surti Sevak Kete, Nanak Ant Nant. What is Surti, Maharaj? Surti is the experience of the mind when we have departed from the ego. And we cannot feel the Surti till Guru holds our hand, or we get the experience of meeting the Guru. How can I do seva to the Creator? Maharaj says by Surti, by dropping the ego. Ketiya Surti Sevak Kete. सेव करत होवे न कामी, तिसको होत परापत स्वामी. When we do seva and ask for no return, then we are doing no accounting. We are not saying, I am here to take an account. I have done this. I am not the doer. I am not the one asking for a return, and I have no vested interest. I have just melted into the seva. It's a form of love. I'm cooking something for someone, cleaning some utensil. But there is no interest of why I'm doing it. I'm doing it out of love. And I ask for no return. So there is no I in any of the presence of seva. That is how seva opens the door to spirituality. And that's why Guru Sahib also encourages those Sikhs whom he wants to bless, wants to touch, transform. He brings them into seva. And if they don't ask for an account, they don't show their back to the Guru, then ultimately they will drop the ego. And dropping the ego, ho mein buje, ta dar suje. We understand the door of the Creator. Maharaj, the first line of this body refers to Dharam Khand, the Khand before this. Maharaj talked about Dharam Khand in the last body. But what he said in that was very relevant. In fact, he has explained creation to us and Dharam to us in that. When he says karmi karmi hoy vichar, this is the Karam world, action and reaction, doing, the ego world. This has an vichar, this has an account. And who does the accounting is the Creator himself, the hukam of the Creator. Sacha aap, sacha darbar. This world is the darbar of the Creator, the court of where the Creator resides himself. Tithe sohan panch parvan. But then he changes the gear. He talks about the punch. Here he says, Sohan, the beautiful punch, reside also. So the Karam world and the punch are the exalted. When we looked at the body of the Suniya and Maniya And then he talked about Panch. Panch Parvan, Panch Pradhan, Panche Pave Darghaiman. Those who are accepted and for whom the doors of creation open, where the real gift of creation is welcomed to them, offered to them. Those Panch. Maharaj talks about Karam and then Panch. And then he says, Nadri Karam Pave Nisan. Then he talks about another world. These two worlds don't live together, Karam and Nadar. This is the ego world, the Karam, where I am the doer, and Nadar, where my ego gets washed away in Nadar, in grace, in blessing. Actually, the journey to the inner self cannot be done with the ego, and dropping the ego is not within my power. It's the Guru's gift. So the journey to the Sachkhand, journey to Anandpur, journey to Vaikuntha, journey to Begumpura is a gift. Of course it has qualities to it, but it is beyond all qualities. There is someone who's asking for an answer to a question, and there is another one who's answering that question. Life is a very big question to which we don't have an answer. But Guru gives the answer. We actually don't ask the key question of life. And so we miss the point. Because we are very bound to our ego self, to our conditioned mind. And we don't want to leave it. That is why when Guru Sahib says, Jisnu bakshe sift salah, Nanak Patsah Patsah. Whoever gets this attitude of changing his life from me to you, get the key to life. Sifat Salah of the Creator means I have changed my life center from I am to you are. And that changes everything. So even when he talks about wealth, even when he talks about the gifted, the blessed, he only talks about this. He doesn't talk about actual wealth someone has. When we say, we are very blessed, we have a lot of money. Guru doesn't value that money very much. It has a value in the physical plane, but nothing beyond that. Jisnu bakshe sift salah means that I have first accepted that there is a creator and that the center of life is not I, my ego, but you. And Bhagat Kabir talks about this experience. He says, Tu karta tu hua, mujh mein raha na hu. I have no ego left. I don't know where I am. I am melted away. A drop of water is merged into the ocean. How can one explain that? The ocean's vastness, infinity, and the experience of being so stable. Maharaj says that in this nether world, there is no ego. So he talks about Nadri Karam Pave Nisan. there is another in the karam. Karam here is not in Sanskrit karam, it's a Persian karam. Means blessing. Changing my mind sphere from ego to non-ego, Guru can only do. It only happens in another. That is why the Mool Mantra ends in Gur Prasad. The key to life is Gur Prasad. There is no other reason for why so many Sikhs gave up everything they had, because they were sure they were getting a good deal. Giving up the ego is a very difficult task. But there is one way where it can be done relatively easily, and that is in love. So, a Sikh is an ashik. A Sikh is a lover. And the love makes the pain vanish, makes the world minuscule, small, irrelevant, makes death an experience which is not have very much depth in it. There is no hatred, there is no fear, there is no pain when there is love. And this is not physical love. This is not love with a reason. This is love felt within us. It's the nature of our inner mind. Maharaj says that Gaviye Suniye. This is the meditation which Guru Nanak Sahib has blessed us with. We may have 1,000 issues in life, but don't miss this point. Gaviye Suniye. Sing and listen in dhyan. And when you are lost your ego, man rakhiye pao. The man will be full of love. Dukh par har. Pain will go away. Sukh kar le jaye. And you will go into a new house. A new house of sukh, which is not a temporary experience, it's a permanent experience. When Bhagat Kabir talks about this, he says, Asman myane leheng darya, gusal kardan bood. Within myself, within my 10th door of the 10th door being the 10th door of the spirit. Asman myane, within that, leheng darya, a river is flowing. Gusal kardan bood, bathe in that river. That's the river of Anand. Unconditional happiness. Which is what Guru Amar Das Maharaj felt in Goindwal when he sang the Bani of Anand. Anand paya meri maaye Satguru mein paya. And everybody talks of Anand. But who knows of Anand? Who has realized this Anand? Only when we have met the Guru. Where do we meet the Guru? Within our mind. Beyond our thought world. Beyond this world of ours, where we are wandering in thought, there is another world, which Guru calls the Surat. And when Guru Nanak Maharaj is asked by the Siddhs, by the yogis, who are intensely spiritual people wanting answers to their questions, Guru Sahib is asked, who is your Guru? Because without Guru, in Indian tradition, it is not acceptable. Maharaj talks about his Guru. Maharaj says that Surt Shabad, these are my Guru and Chela. Kaman Mool, Kaman Matvela, Kaman Guru, Kiska tu Chela. Pavan Aram Satgur Matvela. Shabad Guru, Surt Tun Chela. So the meeting of the Surt, the egoless, focused mind, dhyan mind with Shabad elevates us to the Dasam Dwar. It's only the Guru's blessing, the another world, where this happens. So when Maharaj talks about the Dharam Khand, then what is the Dharam which we have to earn here? Which we can earn here? It's this another world, beyond the Karam world. In another place, Maharaj explains this. He says, Lekha kato na chutiye. Your writings of your record will never get erased. Your Karam world, the record will never get erased. Because everything I do gets recorded immediately, at the same instant. Maharaj says, Lekha katuh na chutiye, hum khin khin pulanhar. The only door from this world's moving mind to the non-moving mind is bakshish. Bakshanhara bakshade. Nanak par utar. Par from the moving world, where I have no control, where only hukam, thought, action is governing me and tying me down. My every action is my trap. Bakshanhara bakshade Nanak par utar. Par across this changing world to the unchanging world. Bhagat Kabir, chal re Vaikunth tujhe le taru. Je hich hai ta prem ke chabak maru. And he says, Sagal tajeen gagan daudavo. I have given up everything. I have freed my thought from everything. Sagal tajeen. I am not holding on to physical life. Because if I hold on to physical life, I cannot go into the spiritual realm. Apne vichar aswari kije, सहज के पावड़े पग धर लीजिए. So Maharaj has talked in the Dharam Khand of this life which we live, and we all live this life, the Karam world and the another world, in some form or the other. We have always experienced states where there is no ego. All of us do it in some form or the other. But to do it consciously, to do it in an aware state, and to do it in a way that it gives me the ability to enter my inner room, my inner house, my nijkar, my thirgar, the mind's secure realm. I need Shabad. Shabad Guru Surtun Chela. And in this Shabad, the Guru Granth comes with it. Gurunanak Maharaj comes with it. Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Sache Padshah is present with it. The Gurus are right here. There are two aspects to how we can live. One is the wandering life, and one is the restful life, which Guru Sahib calls Samajana. Kahan te aave, कहाँ है जावे, कहाँ है रहे समाई. Where do you come from? Where do I go? And where do I find rest? हुक्मे आवे, हुक्मे जावे, हुक्मे रहे समाई. So, I wanted to go back to the Dharam Khand because this is a very powerful understanding of what is Dharam. To go into this life of another. To find my source, where have I come from, and to connect with it. We all connect with it in a unconscious way. Jagrat, Supan, Sukhopat, Turiya. These are three states. Jagrat is awakened, Supan is the dream world, Sukhopat is the deep sleep world, where there is no random eye movement, there is no dream, where the mind merges with its own source, but that happens unconsciously. And then the Turiya world, where there is no form, shape, no qualities, no name, where the ocean of life exists in its entirety, where the drop is merged into the ocean and it finds its rest. It's gone across. Par, langai par. From Dharam Khand, Guru Sahib has come into Karam Khand. Another aspect which Guru Sahib says about Dharam Khand, he says, Kach pakai othe paye. Those who are accepted to go beyond the pakke, the ripe, accepted. Nanak ya jape jai. When we go from this earth, we will know where we are going. Whether we go into the wandering world, the ego world, or whether we have dropped our ego within our living life. If we have done that, then we have transcended death. Because what will die? The physical body and the conditioned ego mind. And I have the ability to go beyond the ego mind. Home dirag rog hai, daru bhi ismaye. Kirpa करे जे अपनी गुरु का शब्द कमाए. When we reach the Khand, Sram Khand, we will visit this Shabad. When we go into the last slok of this Japji, Guru will tell us what is the wealth of the Sikh. What is the real wealth? That wealth which cannot be taken away from me. That happiness, the source of happiness which is permanent with me. And which is not governed by karam, but it's governed by another. Maharaj then now takes us into the Karam Khand. Maharaj says that now these are actually experiences which are more like satori's, like an expanse where I have experienced something which is beyond my ability to comprehend. Gyan karma ka akho karam. What is the karam, the nature of the Gyan Khand? When I have gone from Dharam Khand to Karam Khand, is I have lost myself in the expanse of creation. There is so much happening and so much present in this Karam Khand that my ego has no place. I'm humbled by creation. Kete pavan pani besantar, kete kaan mahes. So much is happening in this realm. So many different fires, waters, airs, nature in its varied forms. So many Krishan and Mahesh. So many. Not one. Kete barme kadat kadiye, roop rang ke bes. Burma is known to create. Maharaj says so many are there energies creating. All under the hukum of the Creator. These are all representatives of the Creator himself. Kete barme kadat kadiye. And so much is formed here. So much is chiseled away and created. Roop rang ke ves. Different shapes, forms, faces, rang, colors, and ways. Ketiya karam bhumi mer kete. So many places on earth where there is karam bhumi, where people are doing their karam. And in so many different varied forms. In the Amazon forest, there lives tribes who have they have lived there for thousands of years. And they're completely cut off from our civilized world. But they have another life, another world they live in. So within this world, there are so many worlds. Karm Khand, Gyan Khand ka akho karm. So this is the awareness Khand, Gyan Khand. Maharaj then talks about Kete karam bhumi mer kete dhup des. So many lands where there is people living their lives, doing their karam. And so many lessons to be learnt. Kete dhup des. So much to absorb. Kete ind chand sur kete. Ind, the different forms of the Creator. The clouds, the moons, the suns, so many. Kete mandal des. Kete siddhbhutnath kete devi ves. So many Siddhs who have their mind absorbed in deep contemplation, who have known their mind in completeness. Buddha, who are aware of spiritually aware people. Nath, kings. Kete Devi Ves, and so many Devatas, spiritually elevated souls, blessed by the Creator. Kete Dev Danav Mun Kete, and so many negative energies, Danav. So many positive spirits, Dev. Kete Dev Danav Mun Kete, Muni, those who are in Dhyan and Shabad. Kete Ratan Samund, and so many oceans full of expensive wealth, of treasures of stones, Ratan. Ketiya Bani, Ketiya Khani. So many sounds, so many different ways of how birth is taking place on this earth. There are 4 Khanis which we commonly know, but Maharaj says there are so many. These are known as 4, the Andaj, Jeraj, Setaj. Born from egg, born from the womb, born from the sweat. So Maharaj says these are not 4, but many forms, and how creation is evolving itself. Ketiya Khani, Ketiya Bani, Kete Paat Narind. And there are so many dynasties of rulers. Narind, kings, Ketiya surti sevak kete, Nanak Antnant. But the exalted and the accepted and the celebrated are those who are doing surti seva, who are absorbed their surts with the Nirankar, where surt and shabad is met with Anand. Ketiya surti sevak kete, Nanak Antnant, and there is no end to how many are absorbed with their creator and doing seva. Seva is being in dhyan. Ultimate seva is doing dhyan of Shabad. Recognizing the presence of the creator and getting absorbed in that. This is the Gyan Khand. Gyan Khand में केतिया सुरती सेवक केते नानक अंतनांत. And there is no end to how many, infinite is creation. Then in the next line of the next pauri, Guru Sahib talks about Gyan Khand, mein Gyan Prachand. Here awareness is light. Awareness is Jyot. Awareness is love. That's the next pauri, but it's very connected. So, Tithe, Naad, Vinod, Kod, Anand. And this is where the Anand is found within us. Naad, celebration. After that, Maharaj talks about Sramkhand, which is a very beautiful visitation of how Shabad Ghados chisels the mind, prepares it for its journey to Sachkhand. Sramkhand ki Bani Roop. Beautiful is this Sramkhand. Tithe Kadat Kadiye bahut anup. ताकियां गल्लां कथियां ना जाए. तिथे कड़िए सुरत मत मन बुद्ध. Here the mind is prepared for its journey ahead. कड़िए सुरत मत मन बुद्ध. तिथे कड़िए सुरा सिदा की सुध. Here the chosen, the surme, the powerful who have given up their ego, their minds are transformed with the presence of Shabad. How does Shabad create the mind's purity? In the Siddh Gosht, Maharaj says that avgato nirmail upje. From the undefined, the pure mind is formed. Nirgun te sargun thiya. From the qualitative less mind, the qualitative mind gets formed. Avgato, from the undefined space of creation, does the nirmal man come about. That's the Shabad creating the mind. When I go into the realm of the Shabad, then the Shabad is a jap, which is the core thought of Japji. Japaman, satnam, sada satnam. Then what is this jap? It starts by the Vaikhari Bani, Gaviye suniye, man rakhiye pao, which means that I have meditated on the Shabad verbally, And in this, my dhyan is formed. Dhyan is a state of mind which is completely focused. And it's borderline between the ego mind and the non-ego mind. Maharaj says, chaltyo man rakhe. Drop the moving mind. Chaltyo man rakhe, amrit chakhe, and you will find amrit in that other mind. So, how does this happen, Maharaj? When I start this job, then this job becomes a Simran. I have remembered now where I have come from. It's a Simran. The love is arising within me. Jai har Simran paya to padgat kini. And in that now, I don't need to put my energy in doing this job. It's unconsciously happening. It's in my subconscious. Maharaj says, Jap so ajapa jape. Jap which I am not consciously doing, but it is present in my mind. This is the Shabad. Which Shabad, Maharaj? Shabad is also an expansive paradigm. But Guru Sahib has presented us with the Shabad of the Guru Granth. Sach mantra tumhara amrit bani. This mantra, this Shabad, is the route to Amrit. Amrit, the man, unconditional love, where there is no death, timeless mind, and there is Anand. Guru Sahib says, we are all seeking this Amrit. We are all seeking happiness. And we want it forever. We want it unconditionally. Any happiness which is conditional has sorrow with it. So it is actually only sorrow. This realization comes in the Dharam Khand, in the Dharam Sal. Karmi karmi hoy bichar. In the understanding that life doesn't have absolute anand in it. But my inner spirituality does. My Guru does. So when this Shabad becomes ajapa, then it chisels and creates and transforms and prepares the mind for its journey to Sachkhand. I had narrated an experience in my young years when I lived with Sant Niranjan Singh. We had gone through an accident, and in that night he called me to his room. He made me stay in the room, and he was talking about this. And he said that there is this Bani which has started within me, which was a signal of the mind which is egoless. Now, when we live this Dharam Khand, we live the Karam world and the Nadar world in its own paradigms. If I have to crudely explain, somebody is living 10% in Nadar Khand, somebody is living 90% in Nadar Khand. That's how their lives are governed. But the Karam world connects us to the physical life. So we are, in this Karam, there is also some ras coming. So that's how we are connected. If there is no ras from the Karam world, then we will disconnect from the Karam world. There is a very nice story which of Guru Vivekanand's guru, Ramakrishna Paramhans, Perambur. He was a priest in a Shudra's temple, a temple made by a Shudra, a scheduled caste. So she never found a priest because no Pandit wants to work in a temple made by a scheduled caste. So he agreed. He said, look, I will do it, but I have one condition. I am a timeless man. I will not adhere to any of your times. Whenever I want, I will do puja. Whenever the love arises, then I will connect. And so he will open the door at 4 a.m, sometimes midnight. They had no hours. Anyway, in the fag end of his life, he had cancer, and his wife one day told him that you are such a renowned saint, but the moment I'm cooking food, you become a child. You get so excited with the thought of food. Now he says in his own book, he says to her that this is what is connecting me to the physical world. This is the only attachments I have left. And the day this connection will go, I will depart this physical world. I have very few connections left. And this is the only, and that is how the book says it happened, that he said, I will die within 3 days of when I will not like food or something like that. And that's how it is narrated in his journey, in his biography, that he turned his face from the food and he passed away. So sadhu's coming and going is a manner of will. Panch tat ko tan rachyo. In that way, he is beyond death and beyond change. He is connected to his source, no matter how and where his presence is. We have, gone through a part of the 36th Pauri also, but that was to try and explain the Karam Khand, because the next line is mentioning something about Karam Khand. Then Sram, about Gyan Khand, Karam Khand will come after Sram Khand, and then Sach Khand. The journey of the mind to its inner source, to its Anand. With these words, I conclude today's session. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand in Zoom, or you can write it out on YouTube, and we can discuss it and see. We conclude our sessions with the Bani of Anand. We will wait for any hands to be raised before we move ahead. Thank you.